All right. Hey, I got feedback. What's giving me feedback? Man, this is what happened when you don't do this for a while. Been a while. Been a while. All right. What's giving me feedback? Turn that down. Oh, I know what it is. Huh. Well, it's been a while. Greetings, YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. We are back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. All right. So, what do we have on the agenda today? Let's start with the greetings and salutations. Welcome to the channel. Thank y'all for stopping by. Uh, Trying to get everything together. I haven't podcast in a month, but I am glad to be back. Uh, the YouTube channel is up on the screen. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. Life is hard. Don't let nobody tell you differently. Trying to find this last tab. Live analytics. All right, I got it. All right, so basically, you got the channel up on the screen. You got the memberships. If you choose to be a member, ways to contact the channel. You can also hit me up on Twitter/X. I'm never calling it X solely ever. So I'm barely up there due to a lot of the noise, but I still want to leave an avenue open to let people do, like, send information. Don't close any doors. That's kind of my viewpoint on it. But I want to be able to let people, at me uh information, something that maybe spark your interest. So I'm still using Twitter. I am still debating whether or not to move over to Blue Sky. I feel like I got too many social medias as it is, but I do want to be accessible to the community. So I might end up moving over there. I need to see how the YouTube channel is going to end up going and what direction it's going to go in before I make that full commitment. But I thank y'all for stopping by, watching, seeing what's going on. Let me give you the rundown for this evening. All right, so the mysterious 5G performance is in the news. TikTok, Nintendo, Qualcomm, Tesla, handhelds, Bluetooth, and cell phones for kids. So let's start with 5G. Let's close this out. Oh no, don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. All right, so PC Mag has a report. I think they're pulling from Ookla this go round. What's the fastest wireless network in the US? We got some words to talk about on this one, and it's more towards the company that I have the most cell phone lines with, which is T-Mobile. So I'm gonna go past some of this, but for the most part, everybody kind of knows who's the speed queen of the group right now, which is T-Mobile. T-Mobile is giving Verizon, AT&T, quote unquote, the run for the money in the speed department. Um, AT&T Fiber is the fastest fixed ISP, but Google is often on top of the state and city specific results. And uh, in sidebar news, Google is trying to expand Google Fiber again. It's like a side project for Google, but not really. We don't quite know where they're going to go with it with this. But let's see. A new study of ISPs showed that in the Ookla, it's using Ookla speed test report, that T-Mobile is the fastest mobile carrier in the U.S. AT&T Fiber is the fastest fixed broadband provider in the U.S. Now, if you talk to enough engineers from respectable companies, they might have something to say about the AT&T Fiber, due to the fact that maybe AT&T Fiber might not be as reliable. So that is a bit of a point of contention amongst the community. Let's pause that. But when it comes to the cellular side, we have been watching T-Mobile grow its speed tier a lot faster than Verizon, AT&T. Now, don't get me wrong, it's been all nice and gravy to be able to see, T-Mobile pull ahead in something. It's been a while, being stuck in the back of the pack for a long time. They finally get a chance to shine. I'm all thumbs up for it. But there's a bit of a caveat when it comes to some of these speeds now. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper because I have another article that kind of forecasts a lot of this. I just want to give the report from Ookla's speed connectivity report. As you can see, speed score blowing the doors off everybody. As my testing have shown, as driving around different areas, the speeds have increased dramatically. I think that some of these Ookla and different scores are more conservative when it comes to their reporting. Verizon, AT&T is, I would say AT&T is further back behind. Maybe not in all different aspects, but overall raw performance speed, they have not been as lucrative or as beneficial to open up the pockets. But let's see, pull this up. One of the big things that I try to pay attention to, especially when it comes to network testing, is, what's the reliability been like? I don't know how they do the availability. I don't understand that type of testing. The signal is there. If the phone is not taking advantage of it, that means something might be wrong with the phone. I mean, especially if you look at like the RSRP values as you're driving around, you can tell when the cell phone dips. But AT&T and Verizon are implementing their C-band, and we're starting to see more of a catching up of AT&T and T and Verizon across the board. Maybe not as much for AT&T, but for Verizon, they're starting to get back into the hunt, trying to, they're trying to show that they can flex a little bit with their, network prowess. And here we are, the AT&T fiber blowing the doors off everybody from Ookla's speed testing application. But the reason why I brought this up is because there might be some discrepancies in some of this reporting that nobody's really pointing at. Let's pull this one up. And boom. 5G is getting better, but does anybody notice? Well, if you're not network testing, quote unquote, speed testing on a regular basis, I know that some people don't consider speed testing or a viable networking aspect. Until somebody gives me the tools to be able to do it, I'm gonna use what I got. But you could glean a little bit from speed testing if you try to take more of a scientific approach to it. And one of the things that I have looked at is of late, T-Mobile has been sliding behind their competition, even though they have the raw speed performance. Now, some people have audibly gasped, but overall, T-Mobile has made jumps, sizable jumps. I did my last video. I was inside of a garage, and indoor performance. More of a tricky area to be able to get a cell phone signal into. T-Mobile's network speeds were by far higher than both AT&T and Verizon's, but they fell flat on their face when it came to directly downloading something off the web. And when you start thinking about it, why would that be? With all that network speed and network download and upload speed performance that you're seeing, why, when using the network, are they mediocre now? And I'm starting to actually see it pop up for Verizon, AT&T, where T-Mobile was in their NSA non-standalone deployment side. Verizon speeds have jumped. AT&T's speed performance has jumped. You're starting to actually see a bigger difference in their networks, but it's a raw speed increase. And T-Mobile, within the last, I'd say 6 or 8 months, they went standalone on their 5G. Now, there's some pluses, and I'm starting to actually see the minuses when it comes to the 5G standalone now. The more networking you do, you're starting to ask yourself, well, why is T-Mobile falling behind when you actually hammer the network like full download? Video speeds, from what I could tell, has been pretty decent. I'm getting ready to do some more in-depth testing this week in the same location, and I want to see if the video has fallen off also. I don't think it has, but there's a sizable networking over management happening on T-Mobile, from what I can tell. I've done 3, maybe 4 different tests in different locations. The inauguration was last week. and I was in, some prime real estate spots, going around trying to, see what type of networking upgrades they were doing. The network upgrades were pretty sizable, even around the mall. Once I was able to get back on the mall from all the police barricades being in place, T-Mobile did end up rolling in. Let's see, end up rolling in some small cells into the area. I think it was like band 25 in N25. They didn't even do N41 or as an overlay. They did N25 as an overlay. But one of the things I started noticing within the last, I say 5, 6, 7 network sessions that I've done, T-Mobile's download has been more mediocre of late, even though I'm getting more capacity on the network. And I think that this is one of the reasons why T-Mobile was rushing so hard and so fast to 5G. It's the network management that they needed to get a hold of. If nobody quite understands what I mean by this, T-Mobile under 4G was more what they call task-based management. So, like, how much data you were using via like YouTube and other web services. They kind of micromanaged it that way to try to keep the network from spiking out of control. But now we're starting to actually see a harder clampdown. It's not like the downloading has crawled to a stop. You can tell there's a noticeable difference in networking in comparison to where T-Mobile was 8 months ago and where Verizon is starting to pick up at, because they're moving towards standalone, but they're not moving as fast as T-Mobile was doing. And even AT&T is moving towards standalone. They're not nationwide yet. The problem that I'm starting to see is the throughput is there, but the network restrictions are heavily in place now. And I don't think that anybody's going to really notice these changes. They can hit the speed test a lot, which we all know they can whitelist speed testing apps. But when you actually hammer the network and actually try to compare it, and you need something to compare it against, you actually start seeing the difference. Alone, you would just think that the network is just chugging along like it is. But multiple tests start showing that T-Mobile is actually falling behind in the performance category, and I think it's done purposely. That is of my deduction of what I'm seeing network wise. But let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm curious to see what people's experience is. This is what I have experienced myself. But are you noticing heavier network management on T-Mobile? Are you starting to see faster network speeds on Verizon and AT&T? I mean, I was inside the garage. I was getting like 700 or 800 down on T-Mobile, but they came in third. AT&T was only doing 120, 130 and beat T-Mobile. So the throughput doesn't matter anymore. It's overall performance. And do you see a difference? Do you notice a difference in your capabilities currently? That's my question to you. All right. The next item on the agenda is, and boy, when you're out of talking about tech for about a month, you realize how much stuff has gone by. And I was sitting on the sidelines wanting to talk about this one. The day the internet cried The internet literally cried on the 19th because TikTok was offline for 12 hours. Good old TikTok. Even my wife was looking for another social media app for 12 hours. I think it was some Red Table or something. Some new one popped up to try to save people, but I think that was only temporarily lived. But the company says it will be working with the Trump organization, Trump administration, on a long-term solution. But ByteDance being a Chinese company, there was a law that got passed. If you're not quite sure what happened to your TikTok, I'll catch you up. But there was a law passed last year to basically ban TikTok in the US, and ByteDance had to comply with the law. Sunday came, Sunday afternoon, and TikTok goes off air, and pretty much the internet weaked. So overall, Monday comes around. I think like Monday afternoon, TikTok comes back up. The new administration comes into office. They basically they're getting a extension, and the extension is basically so TikTok can the owner of TikTok, which is ByteDance, can sell TikTok to somebody. We don't quite know who it's going to end up selling to. Maybe even they might not even sell it because this administration might be a little bit more favorable to them. And for the most part, it was kind of funny that, as TikTok goes offline, people are looking for ways to try to circumvent this ban. And even TikTok plans for TikTok users not to be able to use their services and comply directly with the law. So they didn't want to take any chances. And VPNs were not a good workaround for the US TikTok ban. A lot of people went on Reddit trying to figure out ways to get around this ban. TikTok didn't take took some extreme measures, and basically any request that was coming from the United States got shut down. So think of it like this: they didn't shut it down as they normally like a company would, like a Pirate Bay. They shut it down at the source, and the source basically is probably back in China, due to the fact that that's where all they want to keep. They want to keep all the data at. This is just me speculating, of course, but all the accounts have like your cell phone number. There's some identifier that says you're a U.S. citizen attached to it, and basically they just shut down the American side of TikTok. We all know that there's an American side and there's a Chinese side, and maybe even a European side to TikTok, because the TikTok version for China is more educational. The American side of TikTok is more entertaining, to say the least. It's geared more towards entertainment, not geared towards educational. So, no, VPNs would not have been a viable workaround because they shut it down at the source. I think that means that they end up shutting down the American accounts altogether, which made all us Americans cry for at least 12 hours. But in the comments below, let me know if you use TikTok on a regular. I don't necessarily have an account with it. I've been told that I should for, advertising my YouTube channel. I haven't mastered YouTube yet, so that's why I'm not on TikTok. So until I can master YouTube, I can't do another social media platform. But let me know how that affected you. Oh, let's see. Guess who else was in the news this past week? My old buddy Nintendo. So, as a person who's I've had a pretty long gaming career per se. Maybe hopefully I could probably extend it even further. I want to game until I'm 1,000 years old, but that's just me. Jacob, how you doing? What kind of cell carrier do you use? I have all three the three major ones in America. You can say the what is it? Boost is another carrier, but they're still riding on AT&T's. So until they overall natively have expanded, I'm not going to be able to test them just yet because I would just be testing AT&T. But primarily it's T-Mobile. My personal lines are on T-Mobile. I do have a testing line for AT&T, and I have a testing line for Verizon. And I'm going to assume for iPhone, I primarily run Android. Now, I do have an iPhone. I don't use it as much, but I got that on T-Mobile also. So performance on it has actually been pretty good for me. I'm in the Washington D.C. market, so it might vary depending on where you are. But I can tell you that T-Mobile's network has grown, but I would say that the raw performance is not there anymore. Oh, thank you. Let me show people what your question was. But the Nintendo Switch 2 hit the news. I think that the reason why the Nintendo Switch is now being talked about is due to the fact that handhelds are about to flood the market. And when I say flood, I mean getting ready to bust loose. So earlier this month, CES happened, and obviously I didn't get a chance to really report on what was going on. But the long and short of it was Steam slash Valve has decided to forego being a hardware maker, which I kind of figured that that's probably what they were going to end up doing, and decide to partner with other handheld makers, aka ROG, Ally, and what is it? Lenovo Legion Go. And that sent a hard ripple through the gaming industry, kind of basically signifying that gaming portable is ready to go. So that brought out Xbox to make some statements and jump out there, and other companies that trying to jump out there also. I would presume that the reason why we're even talking about Nintendo Switch 2 is because Nintendo needs to get ahead of these other companies. Hold on one second. Jacob says he lives in Canada. He uses Bell, but I have been having lots of problems with service and 5G speeds. So the 5G, I would say, depending on where Bell is in their upgrades, that you might start experiencing some problems. It's going to be some disruptions depending on how aggressive they are at trying to upgrade. I know that me being on T-Mobile is actively And I mean, when I say active, I mean like hardcore active, trying to get the 5G and full blown like everything 5G. I mean, there was an article that came out a couple weeks ago. No, a couple days ago, talking about how they're getting ready to shut down their 2G and reform their spectrum. So basically, there is probably PCS, and they're going to probably end up expanding that onto the 5G side of their network. So depending on how aggressive Bell is, they are probably ripping stuff out and testing, non-standalone and going through all the traditional paces of trying to get their 5G network online. So I'm. It depends on how if it all of a sudden started, which means that that's what they're doing. If you had good service for a while, for 5 or 6 years, and all of a sudden you starting to get bad service now, that's pretty much what it is. It happened with me also. T-Mobile, 5 years before I switched from Sprint to T-Mobile, and everything was great. And then as soon as they announced that they were finally merging with Sprint, and then the ink got dried, their network went to crap. Calling went bad, everything. Then all of a sudden, it just kind of went back together again. So they were in a rush to really dive into 5G. So it depends on where Bell is. Where it depends on where Bell is in their deployment. Verizon and AT&T are doing it more subtle here in the States. They're going for less disruption, but T-Mobile was going hard and they didn't care about people's disruption at all. But Nintendo. So Nintendo has been, it's been 7 years. And I think that with all the news of handhelds coming out, has forced Nintendo to have finally come out with the Switch 2, because you got some very good viable handsets already on the market right now. I have the Legion Go, which I use it as my testing bed to test the Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile on the go, because it's running Windows. Basically, it's Windows handheld that I game on the go. Let's see. Jacob says, I live an hour from Toronto in a large town, but have 3G lots of the time and no service. Ooh. You know what? I wish I knew which company. I know that I think it's Rogers. I think Rogers is teaming up with SpaceX along with T-Mobile to provide services in basically by satellite in Canada also. So I would say look into that, and I'm gonna do some more research myself to find out. Oh, he said I'm trying to switch to Rogers. Yeah, I think Rogers is teaming up with SpaceX along with T-Mobile to provide satellite services. Here in the States, we got AT&T teaming up with AST, and Verizon's teaming up with AST. So we got a bit of a competition going on in my neck of the woods. But overall, I think that it's kind of, think of it like this. Cell phones are good as long as the coverage is there. The problem is it's about the money. And the money it goes into building towers, putting towers near you, which is why they're investing in trying to put satellites in space so they can provide services to you. At least being able to let you make phone calls. Cell towers, especially underutilized cell towers, are a major drain on a network, because you're getting to the place where you don't have anybody really using it, but you got to pay the rent for the land if you're renting the land, or you have somebody else. If these companies have somebody else doing the services for them, you still got to pay them, and you might have two, three, four people on the cell site, and you still got to pay that. It becomes economically unfriendly. So satellite from space would probably give you those coverages especially where you're getting 3G coverage from. But I would say looking and see Rogers should be partnering with SpaceX. I know that they're beta testing it now here in the United States with T-Mobile. So they're actively starting to test stuff. I'm gonna need to look that some more of that information up myself, but I want to be able to provide that to people who are outside the United States also. But let me go ahead and finish this up. But Nintendo, I think the reason why we are seeing information pop up about Nintendo Switch 2 is because the market's getting ready to get flooded. And we're not talking about kiddie games, which Nintendo loves to do. We're talking about being able to play like Cyberpunk 2077 on the go. Now, me and a friend of mine's, Mr. No Radio, aka Aries, we see things a little bit differently. But overall, the reason why I bring this up is Nintendo is getting ready to lose its market share in a very bad way. These handhelds are getting better. My Legion Go is very good. I take it with me when I go, when I gotta go out of town and I want to be able to watch YouTube on the television in the hotel room. I just take the dock with me. Bam! I got my own YouTube. I don't have to worry about anything. I even provide my own hotspot for myself. So Nintendo is going to start losing a lot of this market share very soon, where they pretty much paved the way for people to accept handhelds. Bad. I mean, I don't really shed a tear for Nintendo anymore because they're the ones that have the most compelling gaming library out of anybody, and yet they try to sell hardware off of that library, and nobody really wants their hardware. They'll pay for their software. They'll pay. People went bananas when it came to Pokemon Go. People were wandering into the street. I think that people didn't even know what outside was until they did Pokemon Go and was like, oh no, that's the sun. So I just think that, Nintendo's gaming software, people would buy it. But the problem is no, your hardware is going to be lacking. When the first Switch came out, it was already behind the PS4 by like 2 or 3 generations. And now stories have come out where they're saying that it's going to end up probably being on par to a PS4 when the PS5 is already at like $400. So I remember the first Switch was almost $350, $399. So you upgrading the Switch now, and it's going to be on the same par as power wise and performance wise as a PS4. I don't think anybody's going to pay for that. Not a gamer. It doesn't have to be a hardcore gamer. It was just somebody who's casual. They're not going to pick up a Nintendo Switch. Maybe somebody with some children, but they already bought 3, 4, 5 of those things already. And a lot of them probably don't even really use the one they have. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But if you are a person that's looking to get yourself a Nintendo Switch, leave in the comments below. Tell me why you want one, because I am not a Nintendo fan anymore. I kind of grew up from that. Even though my first major console was a Nintendo, I just think that Nintendo has not grown up you can evolve and still be to your roots, but Nintendo has not evolved very well in this new age. So that's kind of where I stand at with it. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Uh, and speaking of handhelds, so speaking of the handhelds, this is what got announced at CES, and I'm trying to clear that ad. So Lenovo reveals the Legion Go 2 plus the Legion Go S. Details you probably missed. So this got announced also at CES, and for the most part, I would say, let me pause that before I get copyrighted. Um, it's a step up. They haven't really released any details about the Legion Go 2, but the Legion Go S does not have detachable controllers. All of it is one unit. So there's some ads on YouTube if you want to take a look at them. Uh, it's compelling. They're showing some hardcore games, and on top of that, they're a partner with who else? Valve with Steam. So they're gonna make two different versions of this, which is one gonna be a Windows that dedicated one, and they're gonna do a Steam dedicated one. Now, when it comes to, do you believe Windows might be a little too bloated? I know that some people are putting Steam OS on their Lenovo's. They basically just partition the hard drive and stick it up there. And they say that the performance is actually way better because you get rid of a lot of the Windows bloat. Windows has a lot of stuff going on in the background, and I kind of see it when I run some games that's stuttering when it should not. But overall, it's still a solid performing handheld. I want to see what the performance is going to be for the Legion Go 2. Maybe will it be worth the upgrade, or is it going to be like one of those Tik Tok cycles where you kind of go for, I got the first one and go for the number 3, and then you go for the number 6 and then 9. You jump over each one, but they release one every year, or every other year. But depending on where you might stand at, I think that handhelds are here to stay, and I think that it's only going to get better from here due to the fact that Windows is migrating over to ARM, and ARM chips are showing that they're getting better performance than x86. Remember, these handhelds are x86 first. Imagine what happens when they start migrating towards ARM. They get 10 times better battery life and a lot more performance in the architecture as they start growing it. I think, like, look at Apple. They're on the verge of, if they can finally convince people to make games for their platform. I don't think anybody's really trying to at this point, but they're enticing them. They are their chips, their M series has the ability, for the most part, to be able to hang with like a 2080, equivalent NVIDIA card. I know that we're already on the 5080s already, but our 2080 is still nothing to shy about because, what was it when what game was it? Cyberpunk. When Cyberpunk came out, and it it crashed some people's PCs. So, and no, that came out on a 2080 when the 2080s came out. So I'm looking forward to this new paradigm shift. I think the days of consoles are going away. Maybe not cloud gaming as much because I think they're trying to figure out a way to not go that route. But being able to gaming on the go is going to become more prevalent than it has been in the last, I say, 3 to 5 years. All right. Uh, this story here. All right. So if you're a follower of my channel, you might know that I am not a big Tesla fan. But I'm not a Tesla fan because I don't think that Tesla is a very good car company, a very good automotive company overall. And things like this kind of show me why they're not really a very good automotive company. So Tesla already discounts Cybertrucks in desperate attempt to boost sales. So, in desperate attempt to boost sales, all these people who spent 120, 130, in certain cases $150,000 on the Cybertruck in 2023 now is watching their investment go up in smoke. All because Tesla needs to sell a lot more of these Cybertrucks and they don't really care about people's investments, which is not one of the reasons why their partnership with Hertz kind of went belly up. You know, Hertz went out and bought a whole bunch of Model 3s, Model Ys, and then Tesla was like, oh, that's so great. Thank you for buying all those cars. By the way, we're cutting prices. Have a nice day. So I'm not a real, I drive a Model Y. I drive a Model Y. So full disclosure, I don't like the car. And one of the reasons why I don't like the car is because I feel that the vehicle is cheaply made. If they could find a way to make it as cheap as possible, that's what they've done. So, like, you know, stories have come out about the Cybertruck and things about about the truck, quote unquote, supposed to be a truck. Parts falling off, steering rack breaking. I think the newest one I saw was the whole tire fell off, but not, oh, you know, maybe the CV joint came off. No, the wheel itself snapped off and rolled down the street. I've never seen that before unless you're using El Cheapo parts. I used to drive a cab, and the cab company bought some of the cheapest tires I have ever seen in my life, to the point where I'm driving down the road and the tread fell off of the tire. Understand? I have a lot of driving hours underneath my belt. I drive pretty much for a living. You know, I do Uber full time, and I have a tendency to buy. Of course, you want a lower price item, but you also got to care about the safety, and you don't want to go like dirt cheap into the mud for tires because your life depends on these things. You know, contacting the road, staying together at high speeds, different things like that. You hit a pothole real hard, you don't want that tire to just explode and you're stranded on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck. That's not what you want. But Tesla cheap parts are starting to show itself a lot more and cutting corners. And now they're already starting to discount the Cybertruck, which means that it was already cheap to make in the first place. And now they just need to boost sales. So if you're a person looking for a Cybertruck, guess what? This your time to shine. And I want to say sorry for all the people who went and got one early, because now you have a big paperweight that pretty much you're about upside down in. But Just know that I think that out of all the automotive companies, Tesla vehicles are the worst when it comes to retaining the value. The worst. And you can quote me on that one. But that's just my opinion. And my last but not least, this is a topic that I've talked to people about in my car and as a driver. I'm a technology nerd. I love talking about tech. But you also have to understand that technology can sometimes be a hindrance. Here we go. So technology can also be a hindrance. And as a person who talks to people about tech, I'm trying to always be an advocate for experimentation, try things new, all don't stay in your comfort zone all the time. But I think that cell phones in schools is one of those where we're going to have to really, really try to figure out how to solve this issue. Now, there is a low tech way of solving this problem, but the thing is I don't think teachers want to do this. They might not know much about it, but it's kind of like an all end all be all approach. And I got the idea from watching MythBusters. Yes, I'm that much of a nerd. I used to watch MythBusters years ago, and they're on MythBusters. They had this very unique way of doing like different testing, and cell phones run by radio frequencies. I talk about radio frequencies on my my YouTube channel, how they work, being able to bounce radio waves off of hard surfaces, different things like that. A lot of people don't even know what a lot of their cell phones is doing in their pocket. But I was talking to some teachers and letting them know that what if I told you that there's a low tech way, which I think that a lot of times to solve a lot of these issues, you have to do a low tech way of taking care of a problem. And the low tech way of doing it is Faraday fabric. So radio waves do not pass through brick. It's too thick. But where it comes in it comes in through the window. And that I don't think a lot of people quite understand that is cell phone the radiation and the basically radio waves is just another form of light. It's just not visible. It travels in straight lines. It can bounce off surfaces, but really it's traveling in a straight line. If you put a brick up and you don't have anything around you, your cell phone signal will start dying. But if you have a shiny wall behind you, the radio waves will bounce off the wall and hit your phone. That's why I've been doing a lot more testing showing these abilities. But if you put Faraday fabric over the window, then no radio waves comes into the building. That is a low tech way that teachers and schools can actually do to keep children off cell phones. I don't have any kids yet. I love children, and I understand, from a parent's point of view, why they give their kids cell phones, because different things can happen at schools. Not to sugarcoat it, but dangers happen from time to time, and you want to be able to keep in contact with your children. But your children are not paying attention in class, and I think that a low tech way of doing this problem is Faraday fabric over the windows. So I'm an advocate to try to tell some of these teachers this. You could buy this. You could buy Faraday fabric on Amazon. I'm probably going to end up showing a video showing this. That way that more people can know what they can or cannot do. But these bans for cell phones in schools is across the board in red states and blue states. So it doesn't matter what a municipality you're in, it's a nuisance to all schools, not just Democratic leaning or Republican leaning. Everybody has that same problem. Um, Technology for me is more along the lines of a tool, but not a substitute. And I think that a lot of people are starting to use it as a substitute for not having to learn, not a tool to further your education. But that's just where I stand at on it. I think that banning cell phones, schools are going to have to take a more active approach to, how can I say it? They're going to have to take more of an active approach to policing their municipalities. But I follow this a little bit closer, and you try to give the best advice you can to the most people. But once again, thank y'all for watching. Where is that pesky outro? Oh, there it is. I want to say thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps a lot on this journey I'm having on being a tech YouTuber. But I want to be able to help more people. As usual, the YouTube channel is, and the memberships are already there. You could look over it. Give me your opinion about it. Join. Voice your opinions. That's what I'm working on right now, so people can actually truly voice their opinions live. That's something I want to do for people. But this journey has been fun, and I'm looking forward to continue doing it. But thank y'all for watching, and y'all have a good one.